All right, y'all, we back. And in the famous words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in hopes that we wouldn't say it first, but truth must be told. Oh, it won't let me play my intro for some reason. All right. I guess it says I don't know what's going on with it, but it won't let me play my intro today. But hey, Rod, that's never mind. We'll get right into it.
Let's go.
Hey,
Let's
y'all,
get it.
hit that like, hit that. Hey, my first question, Rod. We'll try to give him some time to get in here. Let me get this pulled up. My first question for you, Rod, is body language. We'll get into the inlay of the Sanskrit and the cuneiform, but body language. Now, you a street person. You recognize game. Now, could you go in and explain? Because I done been in some places where I seen people's body language or their facial expression change. And if I would have left right then, I wouldn't have been into a shootout or got in crossfire or whatever the case may be. So could you go in on how body language is significant in understanding linguistics and love? We'll get into love language, Nick, but just body language as far as knowing, being alert and knowing what's going down. Somebody facial expression change. It's time to get up out of there. Go ahead,
So
Rod.
first, you got to understand a couple things about body language. The CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, espionage agency, teach their agents how to replicate misdirection in body language, how to read other people's body language, right? And the body language is your Freudian slip, right? Your Freudian slip is a sliver of truth that flies out in the middle of a lie. So when you understand body language, right, this also go into metaphysics. Body language also gives you the keys to translating the majority of the ancient scripts that was written in petroglyphs and hieroglyphs. Because body position is a beginning factor in understanding body language, right? I had studied body language when I was doing my study of forensic profiling, right? So remember, I'm doing this study and putting my own curriculum together. I don't have a professor. So when I began to study espionage, it took me to studying CIA documents and reading books on the CIA. It gave me segues. And one of the segues was what we call script analysis of handwriting, profiling of character type, right? That goes with personality profiling, right? And then body language, right? You need body language in security detail, especially when you're going to be on the Secret Service detail. Because when the energy shifts in the crowd, the person becomes known as the antagonist. He's affecting the other energy in the crowd. This can be read about in the writings of Gustave Le Bon's seminal work called The Crowd, where he explained to you about the individual that's the anomaly in the crowd. They call the antagonist. Then you have the protagonist, which is your hero, anti-hero scenario, your Christ, your antichrist, right? The counterparts or the counterbalance of the energy of the two between extremes, twin pillars, Joaquin and Boaz. The body language teaches you how to move through the angles and you climb in the holy Sephir tree, which is the tree of life, which is your chakra system. All this is going to be told in the body language. Then there's a subset of body language called facial expression, right? This is where you read the eyes of the person, the eyebrows. A lot of our grandmamas used to tell us we was lying to her, you got a lie written all over your face, right? Because she can see through your facial characteristics that what you're telling her is not matching what your face is saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why it becomes the Freudian slip, the accidental spurting of the truth in the middle of a lie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, so like micro expressions, like even like when say if you like your old lady or your old man, like you could tell when they ain't like feeling right or look funny, mad or something like that, because you used to seeing they face a certain way, and then when it changed, they straight face and all this, the energy changed. So
Yeah.
do
So
emotions?
a lot of us know our significant other because we learned it from our mother. When your mama look across the room and you doing something you ain't got no business doing, that's almost bad as getting a whooping.
Yeah.
And then when she give you a certain look, that means you getting a whooping, that make you feel even worse. Right? She could give you a look to tell you these people was telling us some BS, don't say nothing. Just with a look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All that is facial recognition. That's our how they learn to design artificial intelligence, by examining the movement of the muscles in the face so that facial recognition can actually be a thing. By studying how children read the faces of their mother throughout life, and eventually it translates to your spouse and your children. You can tell by the way your child move in the house there's something wrong with them that you need to go deal with. Somebody did something to my baby. But if you are disconnected from your inner self because you focused on so hard on building a life that you put all your trust in the money and you disconnect your heart center, right? You won't recognize the trouble signs. And that's when your wife had to tell you, say something wrong with that baby. You need to go check it out. Yeah. Because that's your counterbalance, right? In those subtle energy shifts, you learning how to manage your household. You using that energy to tell you, this is what I need to teach my son or daughter. And this is all coming from us growing up as children, reading our mother. And sometimes my father is normally his voice. What he say? Yeah. His utterance, the authority in his utterance is what gets the attention of the child. Right? So mama is teaching you visible facial recognition, and pops is teaching you to listen for the fluctuations in the voice tone. We better take that bass out your voice when you're talking to me. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll show you what a man to do. And the pop's gonna tell you, oh, you think you a man? 12, 13 years old, you think you a man now? I'll show you what a man do. Yeah. He wants you to challenge him back, but he know that sometime when you challenge him back, he gonna have to hurt you. Yeah. But he wants you to challenge him back to let him know that he's not raising anything less than a man. Yeah. He tell you stuff in passing, and you supposed to be learning enough from mama to catch what Papa say. Papa say a man moves straight. He ain't wishy-washy. His yes mean yes, his no mean no. He stand on what he say. That's what Pops tell you. Mama tell you, observe your surroundings, make sure you see everything, and don't let nobody know you saw anything. Right? So now you put them together and you translating the crowd, because you learn first the one individual, then you got siblings, so you learning 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 individuals, right? The harmony that's under the control of mom and pops and the bond that they tell the siblings determine how well you will develop in learning how to deal with other people, because all siblings don't get along, contrary to popular opinion. Right. But even if they don't get along, touch one of them and they will click up and beat you down. And then they'll go back to fighting each other. We understand that, because everybody not always supposed to get along. Everybody not always supposed to agree with everything somebody else say. Yeah. right? Because this is the principles that you're standing on as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, so since you're standing on principles, right, it make your counterpart know that she got a firm shoulder to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of holding on to your shoulder, she wrap her arm around your waist while she switch. Because she don't want to burden you. She want to prop you up. Right? Let's get it. We talking about we got to either build an empire together or we got to tear the empire down. I don't care which one of it is, ride or MF and die. Till the wheels roll off. Go through all schools of thought until you get the truth out of all of them and tell us what it means.
Right.
Judge none, because you're going to be judged by the most.
Right.
They're going to look for every reason to say that you didn't do the work you did in studying mama and papa to become the person you are to teach the nation.
Right.
All the nations. Remember who you are. This is why we here. First blood of the birthright is the first right to the earth right, which is the mitochondrial right of the women to inherit to earth. The philosophical principle applied to masculinity is man is supposed to subdue the earth for the women to be able to make earth become heaven. To change the frequency is to give them the required information they need to change the paradigm of thought from slaves, reparations, and poverty, right? To deify entities walking in the flesh with magical properties and mystical abilities that science is studying, trying to explain how we can do what we do. Shout out Black Girl Magic. I put that stuff on everything I do. Right? Naya the Fire came to burn this trick down about her daddy stuff. Back to the beginning is the same way we come out the end. You just see it upside down and backwards. And this is how you flip the last to be first over the last that was first. You have to change the paradigm by steering them clear of that BS lie. Where the slave ships.
Right.
You got 10,000-year-old ships under the sea that you treasure diving from, and they fully intact in the ocean with their wealth on them, but there ain't no slave ships. Where the slave ships? Hear that noise.
Yeah.
We know who we are now. As my man say, we know the truth now.
Facts.
So we telling it in clear and concise principles as possible that takes us back to all of the stuff that our elders told us that wasn't in the books. The oral tradition. We still pass the message down because it comes out in the swag, in the lingo, in the fad dances, what area or is hot right now, telling you where the chief at as he move across the land, right? He don't have to be one chief. It could be many chiefs, but the one that take the lead is where the energy moves to. So we watch the movement of the frequency across the land in temperature, precipitation, wind speed, and ground effect. Ground effect means if a tornado come and level the city, it's telling us something. What did they name the tornado? Why did they give it a name?
Yeah.
Right? All of them don't got names. So they named one for a reason. The reason why is because it's an ancestral spirit associated with the tornado or hurricane that they name it. Remember, when a tropical storm is weak, it has a male name. But when it comes to full rage hurricane, they always change it to a female name.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because the power of the earth is in the hearts of the women. The secret to the liberation of the planet is to restore the women back to their divine feminine energy and to enforce it by protecting the children with the women while we protect the women. Circles within circles. The concentric circles is the pattern of the earth tribes.
Right.
The regimented squared off seats is the regimented military districts. Right? A military district is controlled under postal zone, where they set their post up. Watch the movement of the energy, and you'll know which chief is responsible to take action about a certain part of the work. You just might not personally know the individual, but you know the energy is there because you watching the flow of the energy across the land. Right? It's just like when you go outside, you hear the birds chirping, the wind blowing and ruffling leaves of different types of plant. All that sound is messages. Because all sound have a musical note sequence. And if you can record the sound, you can interpret the musical notes. The interpretation of the musical notes matches you up with lines of frequency. Right? Depending on the note. Once you get the frequency, you can translate the frequency into a feeling. Once you get the feeling can then translate to the subconscious mind the meaning in the feeling that you just got from the sound. Right? And all that go back to mama teaching, reading her face, daddy's voice, and hearing the sound, the right sound, the A tone, because we at one.
Right. I got another question for you, Rod, and it's tying into that. Hey, shout out Dr. Paul for the super chat, man. Dr. Paul's in the building, y'all. Rod, so we going to the next. This is I got some good questions, man. The next question I got for you ties into you was kind of going into it a little bit right then about the love language. Because like in some of my past relationships, they always say, "Oh yeah, you ain't understand my love language. That's why we didn't line up or this and it," right? So I didn't even know what the hell it was. I didn't even know what love language was. I just,
So
go ahead.
Let me explain love language.
Okay, all right.
You have things in your life that you love. Like some people think they foodies, they love language is food. And you can tell what they telling you by the food that they offering you. And the taste of the food is supposed to be translated into the best, closest example of the emotion that they can express. Right? Music as a love language, express it in the words that you can't formulate. The songwriter has the poetic ability to formulate your words and translate it onto music in order for you to get the feeling from the music. And the more you love music, the more you can read music. You don't need to know the notes if you understand the feeling. And this is why you work on emotional intelligence, right? Now, another love language is gifting, right? You know that you really into a chick when you ain't talked to her in 2-3 days and you just go on Amazon and buy her a book. Buy her that glass cup that she was talking about the last time you was over there and just have it shipped. You're a gifter. You give gifts. Gifts is your display of affection.
Yeah.
Right? Other people love language. They like to read poetry. Right? So they want you to go to the stand-up poetry reading, the open mic night and all that, because the poetry, the way they feel about poetry is the bond they trying to build with you through listening to other poets go over their art. A love language, right? The antithesis to that is trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is the exact opposite of a love language. So we're gonna stay on love language. I don't want to get crossed on trauma bonding, take you down a whole
I'm gonna write that down.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, just go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going on love language. I'm gonna write. We're gonna come back to that.
Okay. So, when you have a emotional affection for something, and you use that as a display of affection for the other person, right? That's a love language. That's how they telling you how they feel without using the vanity of words. Because a person can say out their mouth they love you right before they shoot you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right before they stab you in the back.
Yeah.
Right before they get an optional address and tell them we don't need the chairman no more.
Yeah.
Because you're scared of his ability to galvanize the masses. So you take sides with the enemy, right? Yeah. Because the bond was based on a mutual trauma. When you hear people always complaining about how sick they is and it sounds like Munchausen syndrome, and then they start having children, they tell you how sick their kids is, the kids be healthy as can be.
Yeah.
Munchausen by proxy, that's because they trying to create affection through sympathy of a trauma that they created in their head and made it manifest in their reality. And they want your sympathy. That's a way to drain you of your love frequency, because in order to give them sympathy for low vibrational BS, you have to give them sympathy from your root chakra.
Yeah, thanks, bro. You dropping some
but
stuff.
When you giving them your love language, you giving it to them from your heart chakra. And if they appreciate it, the gratitude widens the bandwidth. If they reciprocate it, it creates a cyclic energy. The cyclic energy in mutual gratitude, again, increases the already increased bandwidth, right? So if y'all showing this kind of energy exchange, you able to more easily connect with other people in harmonious fashion, because wherever you go, that field that's generated from that genuine love connection and mutual gratitude and every other holy virtue you add to it serves as an amplifier, a music clarifier, and all of the other tools you need to get the best sound from your musical expression of your love language.
Hey, Rod. So now, cause I was on there, man. I'm gonna tell you, cause I was my love language is making sure you straight. Like if you got like
that's
whatever
guardian. That's called being a guardian.
Yeah, whatever you do some shit, I got it for you. You drink wine, I got that. You whatever you like to eat, you all the bills paid, you straight. But that ain't been working for me. That shit ain't been working.
Because when you that kind of provider, it gives you a frequency that makes you become over possessive, which makes it easier for people to step on your toes and set you off. But you don't always know where it's coming from. It's coming from the goodness of your heart feeling disrespected, which makes you lash out. Right? This part of us knowing ourselves, if you know how you are, then you know that I'm supposed to feel this way under these circumstances. Now you know it's in context. It's going back to emotional intelligence I spoke about earlier, right? Your emotional quotient, your EQ, is telling you how to process the emotion to determine the proper course of action. That's when you learn yourself enough to use your emotions as a navigation system. When you lose people in your life, you're supposed to feel some form of sorrow. But the sorrow or sadness that comes with that in the society like we live in, where they put a negative connotation to it, makes what they call a vexus grieving response. You over grieve, but everybody grieves different. So you can't tell a person how to shorten their grieving period, because it's in their perception that their grieving period go through all of the stages of grief, right? And once they go through all of the stages of grief, then they can have the joyous memories of the person in their life that they lost, but they still keep the memory because the memory really keeps the person alive within you.
Hey, so right now, let's get into this trauma bonding because that's what I went through. That's what the person I was with last. They said, "Oh, we got together because we were trauma bonding," and I'm trying to feel like I don't feel like that. I feel like I like you, you it's like maybe I picked it for the wrong things, but you know what I mean. Like they said, like the trauma bonding thing is like both of you to hurt, so y'all get together to make based off of that. So like,
Okay.
what is it? What is
I'm
it? Go
going
ahead.
to show you some examples. It's different examples of how people trauma bond, right? Some people trauma bond based off a tragedy that happened in their life as a child that they haven't been able to rationalize in their mind why that tragedy took place in their life. So this become what you call an anchored trauma. It's an original first trauma. Now, there's going to be a series of fertilizer traumas throughout their life that's going to steer exactly how they perceive the world around them. Right? And once they perceive it a certain way, the trauma bond come in when you can see it from their perspective. They become emotionally attached to you because in their mind, you understand me. Right? So now they go every time they feel like they disconnecting, they either mimic the original trauma or one of the offshoot traumas in order to activate your sympathy to bring you back into the bond under the pretenses of soothing the pain of the trauma. Now,
you can write a book.
another form of trauma bonding is domestic violence. Domestic violence is severe trauma bonding. You taught to us through denying the men the discipline, the external discipline of the father, to allow him to keep his emotions in check, right? And because most of the trauma bonding, he beat her down or she beat him down because it worked both ways. Because some of these dudes get whooped by their women, and after the fight, they gonna make passion and love. It's called breakup to makeup.
I've seen that.
The worse the breakup part is, the better the makeup part is. This is trauma bonding through sexual means.
That's crazy.
And
so
many
true.
people perceive the after effect of the makeup sex with the sensation that they've been told is love in their romantic novel stories, in their romantic movies, in their romantic fairy tales, right? It's the after effect of the traumatic bond. What you think Romeo and Juliet was about?
Yeah,
Two forbidden people who ain't supposed to be together bond on the just to be rebellious to their families in an arranged situation. They both was espoused to somebody else, but they wanted to defy the family edicts on both sides. Right? So they tell it to us as this massive love story, the greatest love story ever told, and all that. But they really subtly sliding the trauma bond aspect of them having to fight their families. That's the trauma. To be together, that's the bond. Right? So they both fighting their families to see each other. The trauma of fighting the family is making the bond tighter and tighter.
That was kind of my situation right there.
Right. Yeah. So the repetition to break free of the trauma, the only thing you got to do is recognize that the trauma exists. You recognize it, you acknowledge it, and then you release it because you didn't cause the trauma. Somebody else gave you the trauma. If you caused the trauma, you forgive yourself for the trauma you caused. and make a vow to yourself, not nobody else, that you will try not to inflict that trauma on anyone else. Right? But don't take other people's attempts to trauma bond with you as your rejection of that, as if you did something wrong. You ain't supposed to let nobody trauma bond with you if you self-aware. You genuine love connections, you have genuine loyalty, you have genuine affection, right? And all of this is before there's any other links like sexual or anything like that. The genuine connection first is established by two people just being a genuine self, right? And by you being your authentic self, it makes people gravitate toward authenticity. It's like moths to a flame. They don't have to agree with you if they feel the authenticity. They still gonna come see, well, what else is he being authentic about? Even though that sounds like some total quackery to me.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. So we want to get away from the trauma bond by acknowledging your trauma. And if somebody inflicted the trauma on you, you release it back to the universe. I don't want that. You got a right not to accept the status of victim in a universe where you're supposed to be deified. You don't have to be nobody victim. It's not in your book of life. It's not in my book. It ain't in nobody's book of life that's walking around on 2 feet, call themselves a sentient human, that they are required to be somebody else's victim. But your ignorance can drive you in somebody's lane and get you ran over.
That's right.
Right? Your disrespect will put you in somebody's crosshairs and get you cut down. Right? Your lack of self-control will make somebody put pinstripes across your windpipe, DMX.
Yeah.
Right? So the better you have self-control and the more you focus on your agenda, you don't got time to worry about what nobody else doing. Everybody stop what they doing to watch what you doing because you blowing past the world. You become a meteorite in life.
That brings me to the next question. And it ties into, because all this time I got a lot of good questions. Now, that what you just said remind me of a scene with Malcolm X, and you said he self-control. Now, in that scene, you're gonna remember the scene. He walked into the bar, and the guy was taunting him, bullying him, right? And he kept on bullying. Malcolm X let him say all that. But then when he said somebody's mama, see now, when he said somebody's mama see now you know where you can talk about me now. You can beat me down, talk about me like a dog. But when you say something about my mama, now that go back a long way, because the mama thing set a lot of people off. Like you say something about, people go to joking, and then you say something about somebody's mama, that's a prelude to let me sock you. Mama said knock you out. So could you go in on a little bit of that?
Mama's boys.
Yeah.
Them mama's boys and mama's girls. Mama's baby, papa's baby. You say what you want about pops, I might laugh it off, but you say the wrong thing about mama, I might check your chin.
Tell you.
Right? It's the energy exchange. We protective of our mothers. If she was a loving mother and a caring mother, like mine was, we protective of our mother. Right? And she got to always counsel us. This is the meaning of becoming a Mason.
Okay, that's right.
The mama is molding the son to be the proper man that any woman he have got a winner. They think masonry is about compasses and squares. Those are metaphors. You know, the square is the four-corner shuffle. That's the motherland, right? The circle is the two-wall cane.
That's right.
Right? That's how your fatherland operate. So the compass and the square is the mother and the father working together to mold the son into becoming something greater than he would be had he followed the edicts of the local society.
Go ahead.
The society at large can't teach you what you learn through your family lineage is about character. Your parents gonna be your first role models until they tell you to believe in something called a superhero. Well, before superheroes, we had the Lord, we had the Orisha, we had the Neteru, right? We had the great Thunderbirds before superheroes. Batman came from Mesoamerica, southern Mexico, right? He was Chief Kozo. But we don't know that the modern comic strip writers hired on staff at a major comic distribution company is being taught Sumerian stories, Egyptian stories, Native American stories in order to fashion all of the characters in the comics around the ancestors of the people they making fun of by making caricatures of the real people on the screen to make money off of it, because like a magnet, our genetic memory to who was at one time one of our leaders is drawn back to him in the form of a animated figure. He ain't real. So now they done undermined your connection to your family tree.
That's right.
Right.
Bro.
So now you can't extract the energy of a Sun Wukong from Asia, a Hanuman from India, right? A Tahuti from Egypt. You can't channel that energy because they hijacked your family tree's connection to these ancient ancestors of yours that built the civilizations of the world for trillions of years in cycles within cycles, yugas within yugas, ages within ages, in a downward spiral. Unless you're on the other side of the universe, it's an upward spiral, right? But if you're between the two, you at the middle, the funnel comes to an end on you, accessing both sides of the spin, motherland, fatherland, activates the Merkaba body. The labor-intensive requirements of that, man will put himself in the grave before he ever used that level of self-discipline to become what he's supposed to evolve into. So you have to upgrade the genetics of the children coming in. So the sages whisper in the ears of Mother Earth and tell her what the problem is. And the mother's lament and her tears during her pregnancy forms the remedy to the problem that she's crying about during the pregnancy. That's why Elijah say the prayers of the woman is answered through the womb. Okay, now, once these things take place, they go into something called the field. The field is how you program the DNA. In the South, they say, you mark that baby. Look, he got your birthmark. You mark that child. Right? Or he got his granddad. He looked just like his granddad. That's that granddad come back. They know because the field opens up the connection to the family line. Though you can only come back through the one you love the most. Right? If you the one you love the most is going to carry the strongest pull on the heartstring, which is the sympathetic link to the ancestral line that causes the manifestation of the affection in the womb of the one you love the most. Or if it's coming from father's side, the son you love the most, it's still got to go through his chromosomes by permission of his mitochondria in unison with the woman he connect with. And the men who can get the male child is the blessed ones, because it's so difficult to even produce a male child. If people knew how difficult, if the men knew how difficult it was to produce for a woman to have a male child, he would honor his position as a man with a whole lot more reverence of the self. You don't know what you had to go through to get here. 777 billion sperm cells, and you made it to the egg. The character persona that became you. But not only that, in the vagina of the woman, there's a natural spermicide that kills Y chromosome semen, spermatozoa, the ones that's the strongest with the Y. Because some sperms got 2 X's. That's how you end up making a girl. But not only that, in the first trimester, something like in the neighborhood of 60+% of spontaneous abortions is the male child. Right? When you get into the second trimester, it's still a high 50% of male child spontaneous abortions or miscarriages. And in the final trimester, right, a sizable portion, now it's only about 25% of the male child that started out during the same 9-month gestation that's present. But it's going to be an alarmingly high level of stillbirths in the male children still. Right? So every man is a remarkable addition to the human race because we go through so much to get here. But if we don't know our role, we can go through so much to get put out of here. Right? And that's how a lot of us causes our own suffering, misusing our masculine self to abuse those weaker than us, bullying. I'm a bully beater. You on mute, Al. You on mute, Elder. You on mute. You talking up storm, but you on mute.
Yeah, okay, dang. Okay, my bad. Okay, so you speaking about the bully thing, and it's this guy that was a major YouTube guy, a host on Jumpman from the 40 Crips, named 4Extra, who he popped the fireworks, the 480 explosive fireworks, and blew his whole arm off, blew his hand off. But before he blew his hand off, he was a guy that went around, you know what I'm saying? To me, he was a bully. And the last guy, I think,
in LA culture, he not a bully, and I'm explaining to you why.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that too. But like from some perspectives, he'll be a bully. But I'm gonna tell you why I feel like he was a bully in some senses. Even after the guy said, "Hey man, you know, I didn't know no better. I'm cool, man. I'm sorry." You still press him. In LA, we used to like, if he don't want no static, cause he don't want none. Let him make it. Let him, stall him. Cause that's what we say, stall him, right? So he wasn't stalling nobody, right? And then like right before he got his hand blew off, he went after 607 pretty hard. I watched the video. Boom, then he get his hand blew off. So do you speaking things out? Because we're still talking about linguistics. Because Tupac, we know Tupac might not be there. We can get into all that, but speaking things into existence, saying, because he said that I'm gonna go right before he blew himself up, arm blew off. He said, I'm gonna go blow somebody up. I'm gonna go throw this in somebody's house. I'm gonna go blow somebody, I'm gonna blow somebody up right now. Right. And then 2 hours later, he ended up being the one he blew up. So could you go in on, is there some reality by speaking things or saying things? Because I didn't experience saying I'm gonna go smoke this guy, because it was a guy that killed my cousin, and the police didn't do nothing to him, right? Because they had set my cousin up to make it look like he had robbed him, right? So I was like, man, I'm gonna smoke that fool when I ever catch him, right? And I never could find them fools. And then that dude moved downstairs from me, right downstairs from me, Rob. Right? So it's like I spoke him up, like I'm gonna smoke that fool when I see him. They brought that fool right downstairs from me. So it's like, when you think 4Extra by him study saying I'm gonna blow somebody up, I'm gonna being in that type of energy that he brought the blowing up of himself to his own demise.
I think he was carrying with him something called careless energy, right? careless and reckless energy is twins. 607 got, I don't know, y'all can't see spiritual stuff, but
Right. Go ahead.
if you ask a seer to look at him, he got protection with him, spiritual protection.
I told my old
I,
lady.
personally, I never talked to him, right? But if you really listen to what he be saying, he be accurate with the information. He using the ODB Chief Crazy Horse energy
Yeah.
in order to tell the truth without the system collapsing on them.
Mm-hmm.
The ones who understand the culture best will know what 607 Unc is doing, and then they'll be like, oh, let me get the jewels out of this because he finna be dropping some jewels on the low, but he putting this image up, this energy out there. He's channeling the same energy ODB did, Chief Crazy Horse. The Crazy Horse energy is not just a person in the history books.
Mm-hmm.
To the tribes, it is a living frequency that we can use to conceal ourselves being out in the open and make the establishment not crash on us. Geronimo is the energy of a military commander. So if you see Geronimo in the history books and you parallel him with Geronimo Pratt, you will realize that G. Jugger was the real deal. That's why they sent him from Mississippi to Oakland and to aid in the organization of the military strategy of the Panthers. But when he got out there, they knew why he was coming, so they framed him for a homicide that the police did.
Yep.
Right? His crime scene is almost identical to Big Tookie's. When you look at the crime scene, if you could do a comparative analysis, it reads similar MO, right? They said that Tookie was with one of the Crip brothers smoking Sherm, and he passed out. And they said that in his unconscious state, he grabbed a couple of Crips, went and robbed the store and murdered somebody while he was unconscious. You got to remember that part of the story, right? So we channel the energy of ancestors, and it's almost like being possessed by the ancestor. And all of the ancestors come with spiritual protection. When you channel their energy, you also inherit, because you got to have a certain frequency to even assimilate the energy. So you inherit all of the spiritual protection that comes with channeling that ancestor. Not saying that that energy is the cause of the dude losing his hand, but I want to put that out there about 607 because I see clearly what he's doing. So a lot of people can be offended at his structure of delivery, right, and his appearance. That's his protection. And with that appearance, it comes what they call ghouls, which is similarly dressed disincarnate entities from his family line that's dressed similarly to him. And they don't play about it. That being said, the brother who lost his hand, that's a tragedy.
And he that same hand, he was up in there, you know, at 607 on.
Yeah, let me cook.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now I say this is why I say he wasn't a bully. He was like Candyman. If his set or his name don't get put in it, you won't see him. Right? But when you start speaking on him, he gonna make you answer for it one way or the other. If you man enough to call him out, you're supposed to be man enough to run the fade. Right? That's not what Crazy Horse energy do. Though Crazy Horse energy will run that fade and they will put one in you.
Yeah.
Right? But Crazy Horse energy understand the power of us as a collective unit. It don't want to go to war with the soldiers from the bloodlines.
That's what he was trying
to do. So it'll find a way out of that conflict. right? So I don't think he was necessarily a bully. He just didn't back down, right? He didn't say he want a problem, but when you say you want a problem, he like 50 Cent. He say, no problem, right? In California culture, if you speak on somebody's business, you got to be ready
That's
to
right,
stand
bro.
on it as the truth or admit that it's the lie.
That's cold.
If you can't stand on what you blow out your head, they gonna box your face. Ain't no
Right.
backing down once you said the wrong thing to the one that they sent to correct you. You shouldn't have put my name in my business out in the street. That's Cali culture.
Yeah, that's right, Rod. You right.
Right. So when you understand I don't even live in California, but I got relatives out there, and I know people who were born and raised there that end up moving this way and discuss the culture. I'm able to understand the mechanics of their culture. So that when I do decide that I want to go to LA or I want to go to the Bay, or if I want to go to the Valley, I'm welcome because they know I'm not going to disrespect the tribal culture that's natural to the land.
Right.
Now, I might disrespect their police and their governor because they don't belong here.
Right.
But they going to be cheering me on if I do because they know they don't belong here, right? They just don't know what we were supposed to be doing at the OG level of making the alliances and informing the youth so as they don't keep making the same repeated mistakes of taking their allies off the battlefield in friendly fire.
Right.
So our natural culture made us, the ones who didn't go to the military, learn military strategy, fighting streets and war in the streets.
Yeah.
We still got to learn how to defend the land. What if they dismantle the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines right now? Whose responsibility is going to be to secure the land?
Right.
The tribes. Don't nobody else got that responsibility. Anybody else that's securing and protecting the land right now, thank you. But that ain't their job. That's the tribe's job. We are the ones with territorial jurisdiction to govern over the land, right? We the ones that's supposed to have the final say in what form of government is ran across the land. If they're going to be isolated communities or if they're going to be a unified network. That's supposed to be our responsibility. But since they told us we from somewhere else, when we do start forming the tribe, we don't know what to do next. So the delirious part of the restructuring or reformation of the tribes come in when the government used that delirium to villainize them and turn their own people philosophically against them as if they are the negative current and the cause for all the problems. When they actually the recipient of the most problems by being displaced in the first place.
Right.
Right. So the remedy is always put the people in the places they supposed to be and the machine will run the way it's supposed to run. Only the one competent to lead in the particular area is the leader of that area. Everybody who's not a specialist under that person, sit back and take instructions to aid and assist in the success of us all. Right now, you might have this chief out there, but next week it might be a different chief telling you more stuff to do to bring us back into the position of prominence on the land, right? You got now in 2025, just 5 short years ago, it was only a skeleton crew of us telling these people that we know the truth now.
Yeah.
We know who we are. We know we didn't come on those ships. We was already here.
Right.
Right? That skeleton crew back then was enough to ignite the flame of understanding in the minds of the masses of the lost tribes. Right? And that's why Tupac said, all you lost tribe MFers, I'm talking to y'all. I'm trying to put y'all on my back. Who he talking about? Right? So when we start looking at it now compared to the skeleton crew, it's a full-fledged workforce. pushing the truth to the forefront with the receipts. Don't believe me, check it out.
Right.
You also have to have somebody that's trying to dispute what you're saying and override the accurate receipts from the people contemporary with the invasion. So they gonna tell you that just because they on the Dawes Road don't make them a $5 Indian. They was always here. That's not true. Some of them were, but most of them wasn't.
Yeah.
The few that were was used to teach the ones who wasn't how to pretend to be us, even if they didn't know they was teaching it.
Right.
Because they study us so that they can try to train somebody that's not us to pretend to be us. So when they tell us we from somewhere else, we say, oh, we must be because these people from over here. And all the time we know where we from.
Biggest game, man. That was a good game right there. That was a good move. Because they couldn't just they had to do it how they did it, or it wouldn't have worked. They had to bring in imposters to play us, or they wouldn't have been able to pull the whole trick off like they did.
Right. Why do you think they started whitewashing? Because they wanted us to believe that the pale faces of Europe was the ones behind all of the dirt.
Yeah.
And once we believe that, then we believe that white is a ranking system and not a legal terminology.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as we think it's a ranking system, then the superior being white, we don't know that we giving the ones that's hiding behind the pale faces carte blanche to misuse and abuse us. As long as they put it in the public domain, they allowed to do to us whatever we allow them to do.
That brings me to my next question, Rod, because it ties in kind of what you was just talking about the politics in California and the rules on the land. Now, when in Rome, do as Romans do. Now, I done been to a lot of them places, like areas where they say, well, you know, this is a place where you can't go. You know, like if you ain't from around here, you only need to come over there. But I go over there, I don't have no problems. So because I'm in Rome, I do as the Romans do. You know what I'm saying? So could you go in on that, like, because they talking about territorial areas where they say do you know where you at? You out here throwing, twisting your fingers like that? You in the wrong area for that. You know what I'm saying?
What it is it's the respect of cultures.
Okay.
If you are solid in the culture you from, and you understand how to respect the different tribes in your local area, you're going to understand that when you go to a foreign part of the land that you're not from, that in order for you to get along with the people from the area, you have to respect their brand.
Yeah.
You have, I was raised GD from birth. So I go hang out with Stones in Chicago like brothers. Vice lords. We be sitting around, we be putting in work together, as they say. Right? But I ain't never changed my true blue status. They know I was folks when they was dealing with me. I wasn't false flagging. I knew they was Stones and Lords when I was dealing with them. Right? Because there's no secret. But I know how to respect your land. I'm in Motown.
Yeah.
Anybody in Chicago know Motown is Jeff Fort's stomping ground. That's his territory. Like the center point. Like it's called Motown because they call the Stones modes.
Right.
It's a little stretch on 50th of GDs that's about 2 blocks long, where my region Orly Head was from when I moved over there with my Aunt Maggie. So I understood that culture enough to know how to be respectful to the Stones on their own land. I can't come in your house and don't wipe my feet on the rug or take my shoes off when I'm going across your white carpet. That's called disrespect. When you in other people's house, you abide by the basic rules of decency and respect. hardly ever have a real problem. But when you go over there with arrogant and oh, I'm the only real NIGGA in the world, the rest of these suckers fake, you're gonna end up coming out of there on a body bag or a stretcher.
Yeah.
You got the wrong mentality to be visiting other people's house. You don't want to wipe your foot on the rug because you say it ain't your grandmama's house. You don't care about his. You're supposed to be going to see him. Why would you not have the same respect for his grandmama as you got for yours?
Right.
So some of us learn this at an early age, and we integrate with other tribes easily. This is how we learn the culture from different parts of the land, so that when it comes time to wake the tribes up, we can clearly explain Mississippi culture is right next to New Orleans, and it's not New Orleans culture.
No.
It's a different culture altogether. But look how close they are. But anybody that can survive in New Orleans know how to respect the land anywhere they go. That was the training ground. That's why it was called the Big Easy.
Right.
Because it put you on Easy Street when you know how to get all of that melting pot of tribes that then form sub-tribes across the wards, right? Mm-hmm. Every parish got a own little swag to it. Every little housing development got its own swag to it. And if you know how to go to New Orleans and go from different parts of the town and peacefully coexist with all of those different cultures that's within that one geography, they can set you free anywhere on the land and you'll be able to survive because you know how to give respect.
Yeah.
That's what it boiled down to. We used to check in at the barbershop. That's why Basin Street is one block over or a couple blocks over from Bourbon Street. Basin Street goes to the basin tubs that you used to use to clean your body.
That's right.
Then they used to have the barbershops and the shower shops. And the first one you get to was the barbershop because the bathtub was there when you coming out of the fields of different parts of the land. Right? You get cleaned up down Basin Street. By the time you get to the end, you been bought new clothes, new shoes, got your hair done, got your whatever, pedicure, got your cologne, your lotion. All that was what that was. It was to get cleaned up so that you can go drink it on Bourbon Street. Now they didn't commercialize it, and the culture has found a new way to express itself, and it left to the tourists the legend of what used to be Bourbon Street and Basin Street. It became a tourist attraction. But you still not gonna stop them second line marching Indians, the Mardi Gras Indians, which come from many different tribes. Mardi Gras, Happy Tuesday, right? The day of celebration. And this day of celebration, they come out and they've been doing it for thousands of years, dressed in their regalia that they took all year making. Everybody want to put on a good showing. But watch that fancy footwork as they try to cross the land. They telling you something. They telling you you've been here the whole time. You ain't never left. That's why Mardi Gras looked like Cinco de Mayo. That's why Cinco de Mayo looked like a Death Day version of Los Carnival. It's all the same, different parts of the culture expressing the same activity in a different way. You got it going on in Haiti. You got it going on in Jamaica, the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, St. Lucia, Grenada. It's going on everywhere that the tribes ain't never stopped being who they was. They just got renamed on paper. Paper genocide.
Yep. Yep. That brings me to my next question, Rod, because somebody said, man, make sure you ask Rod this question because y'all on there talking about all this and y'all ain't talking about what Trump doing right now. And I'm telling them, man, we already told you everything about Trump. We didn't told you from the root of the tooth on what the Trump got going. But so for the guys that asked this question 2000, why y'all ain't talking about Trump? Could you go in on what you got on Trump for the other? You know, he attacked Iran, somebody. You know, we already told him everything on Trump. But
remember when I told you when I say saving Israel for last, right?
Yeah.
And when they went into and bombed Iran, I told you like a couple days before it happened, I say Netanyahu gonna do something to tick Trump off. Remember me saying that?
Yeah.
Right. Then Trump on the news cursing, using profanity.
Huh.
Right? Mad because he's saying neither one of them know what the F they're doing. Right? Israel ticked him off.
Huh.
It's all part of the script of them pushing the morals and dogma down our throat. All you gotta do is go to Morals and Dogma and read about World War III. It's telling you exactly what they're doing.
Hey, for the person that's making a comment about the Fat Tuesday, well, he said celebrate Tuesday, but it's Fat Tuesday. He know that, and then really, to be honest with you, Fat Tuesday started in like 1669, and actually we didn't celebrate Fat Tuesday. What it was Mardi Gras was it wasn't even called Mardi Gras. It was a thing where, like Ross say, it was New Orleans and Mobile, Alabama was the intake for this land. So you had to come there in order to get into the land. So when newcomers would come to the land, we would throw them, like, you know how in Hawaii when they get off the plane, they have a whole bunch of people be out there dancing, welcome you to Hawaii, put like little flowers around your neck, all that type of thing. So it was that type of thing down in New Orleans. And so when the French came in 1669 and they landed in Brown Mobile, the natives there celebrated them landing, welcomed them to the land. But we didn't know they was gonna be some suckers, right? But we welcomed them to the land. And then so what they did is, being that it was already a Christian holiday, in these the French, they were not Pentecostal, they were I think of their denomination. The French, the Huguenots. They were the Huguenots. They were
Orthodox Christians.
Nah, it was another name, not Orthodox Christians. They the one that pretty much did the King James Bible, the 66.
Protestant.
Yeah, they Protestants. Okay, so the Protestants came. They landed in 1699. And then when just so happened the day they was landing, it was already a holiday that the Christians celebrate for Lent and for the Fat Tuesday, where they get rid of the fat meats, right? For like a certain type of holiday, right? So when they were landing, that was happening. So they just correlated it with what the natives were doing and just made it a celebration. The French made it into a celebration and started calling it Mardi Gras. But we had already, like Rod said, we had already been doing that thousands of years before the French came over here. For the Africans, everybody that was coming over here, as far as visiting our land.
Look, King, the Mule Production said that's why the Hawaiians got it from us. The original Hawaiians is us.
That's right. That's right. Well,
we got displaced down there. Like they annexed. They didn't do a vote for Hawaii. No. They didn't do a treaty for Hawaii. They annexed. That mean they took that.
Yeah.
And persecuted the royal family that was governing the island. They not getting no pass on Hawaii.
No.
That the Hawaiian people is some of the tribes that came to the mainland. Some of the Maori tribes that came to the mainland to go fight in the Gullah Wars in Florida.
Right.
Right. And this is why you got a lot of us that look like the royal family of Hawaii. All of the royal families throughout the South Pacific, we used to intermarry our royal families together.
Right.
Right. And then all of the royal families from the other side of the ocean, of the Atlantic, the eastern seaboard did the same. Mm-hmm. If you look up the Chinese road, it goes right through Mexico. Right? Because it was such a large influx of Chinese that used to come in with the princess or whoever was coming over here to marry the chief. Mm-hmm. Right? They would just send them. They send dowries of servants. Right? Over here, all servants is released once they made a member of the tribe. We don't keep slaves. The ones who want to stay and be of service is welcome, but we have to compensate them with food and clothing and shelter. This is why they keep saying that we already had slaves. We had no slaves.
No.
Everybody was family. We lived by the one family concept. They was trying to break that up with divide and conquer. And this is why they made the grave distinction in separating the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas, which is all the same people at different times under different cultural influence.
Right.
Right. The old Mississippians is a continuation of the same people.
Right.
Right. So when I say the old Mississippians was first, that's because they came off the old blood.
That's right.
We know old blood is the original blood of the human.
That's right.
That's not a secret. Been scientifically proven. We know the A and B and the derivatives thereof all came after the old blood. It don't make us better than them. It just tells you that we was the original. It's called omega level mutant energy in anime. It's there for a reason. So the omega blood is the mama line mitochondrial O blood. You got a positive line and a negative line, but it's the only universal donor to all other lines because it's the original, it's the template, the blueprint. And I ain't even like talk about blood types, but it's necessary for you to understand that a lot of the historical information they gave us, they told us the story upside down and backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it so difficult to reconstruct us from the past because of something called a sacred drift. Shout out Pleasant Bay.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Rob. So do you because I know that the U.S. Military overthrew the last she was the Empress. She was a Nubian over Hawaii. That was like that was like just recently in the 1900s, I think.
I think it was in the 50s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could have been a little earlier, but I remember when they went in there, she was like, what are y'all doing? She said, oh, we taking this.
Yep.
It was all financed by the Dole family, who end up becoming the larger exports from Hawaii of the Dole pineapple.
Wow.
The Hawaiian Wars sometimes are referred to as the Pineapple Wars because they was trying to take the indigenous farming produce. We used to already trade pineapples and sugars from and sweets plants that grew in Hawaii. We was already trading them with that stuff.
Yeah.
In Mesoamerica. That ain't new.
Yeah.
So that's why they sent warriors, and that's how they got caught with their pants down. We didn't expect to go around South America, DeSoto, and launch his assault on the South Pacific. But then they tell you it's a fairy tale in the story of Califia. It's the same story.
Yeah. 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 They attacked these guys, man, they came at us in all different types of ways. But they said everything that we told them, everything that we said about Trump. I told y'all, wean yourself off the government. I said all this because they going out of business. They are business. Trump is the liquidator. He's closing everything out. He's closing the gap. So now people just saying, this is the part right here, Rod. This is what I want to ask you about the Trump thing. Now, I told them about Project 2025. I put the stuff out before Trump even came president. And then look, people was attacking me saying Trump said that he ain't with Plan 2025. He ain't with that. And I told him, I said, man, politicians gotta lie. And in order to be a good politician, you gotta be a good liar, right? And then now Trump, I think it was like 2 days ago, Trump just signed over the Plan 25. But they say it won't be activated until 2028. I think that's what I heard. But he signed it. but everybody was going after me saying that Trump never said that. He you know what I'm saying? He signed it. So what's your
Hey,
thing
look,
on that, Rod?
hold on. Pastor Gabriel say Dolo the Pilot Man is all I'm gonna say on God. Shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man.
Yeah,
That's
shout
my
out to
dude. Man, I love to listen. I love to listen
yeah,
to him. That's
I've been on
my guy.
Dolo's show. I've been on the show with Dolo.
Yeah. So look,
Yeah.
we didn't already went over the National Guard have to come in to get rid of the police. We went over that already.
Mm-hmm.
So now you see National Guard being deployed under the pretenses of ISIS. It still got to be deployed no matter what they call them,
Mm-hmm.
because you got to get rid of the police. So the stage got to be set for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Also told them about curfew. Detroit just put a curfew in place. So I told you, tell your children if they put the curfew in place, abide by the curfew, because they're gonna have a lot of Manchurian candidates working curfew patrol. A guy just got shot in I think it was somewhere close around here, running from the police in the middle of the night. The police, the reports say that he had his hands up and the police shot him anyway. But the thing being is, we already told y'all this was going to happen, not because it's foresight in the form of prophecy, but it's foresight in knowing what need to be done for the government to shift back to the tribes,
Mm-hmm.
right? We had to see everything going out that we've seen coming in. And somebody has to secure the land when the power is being transferred, right? We showed you in the FEMA document how the tribes was involved with the continuity of government. We showed it to you. It's on the face of the document. We also went over the Indigenous Rights Act to show you that if we follow our tribal ways, they have to respect it, even if they don't like it.
Right.
Right? We went over both Indigenous Rights Act. We covered all that. We covered where we was at in all of the processes up to now. We had end game the shutdown of the continuity process. So now they setting the stage to leak all or to expose all of the secret information. This is what we see it now. We already went over all this. The ones who's asking those questions, they coming in and they haven't seen the prior information, and they coming in without knowing that we've already went over this stuff in intimate detail.
Yeah,
with
10,000 times.
receipts. Yeah, with receipts.
And I got a whole playlist called "Pump for Trump." Why don't you? So all you guys that want, if you out there, you want to pump for Trump, we got a whole playlist called "Pump for Trump," where me and Rod broke down everything about that he just said about Trump is in that playlist. So matter of fact, one of the guys that asked that question, I sent him the playlist. I say, you want to know about Trump? We already did all that. Here you go. Drop the whole playlist on with 50 videos.
Look, when we do these live, when we didn't already cover something, the only thing that take us back to cover it again is the questions of the audience.
Yeah. So we got no problem covering it. But like I say, Trump is now. This is another question about Trump. The word is going out that Trump saying that he the last president and that he ain't gonna be no more election after the next election. He ain't gonna be no election next. Is what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think? Well, I don't think it's going. Well, it shouldn't be another election. It really should have been another election after 1999. But they've been really running as a running the ship.
It's called a rogue state.
Yeah, it's rogue. That's what it is. That's right. Hey, drop your questions in the chat, man. I got another question for you, Rod. Let me see. Let me get my list pulled back up right here. On these questions that they asked, I got the Trump question. Boom, we got that one. All right, telepathic abilities, linguistics. That's one another thing they asked. They said, okay, so sometimes when people say like you thinking about somebody, boom, they call you. You going out, you walk outside, say I'm thinking about somebody, you walk outside, they pulling up at your house. So what type of we know it's telepathic ability, but could you go in on that particular resonance and how it
You posted me going into that couple the last live I did on Instagram when the sister was telling us about her candle ritual and how she got a response, and I explained the mechanics to her.
yeah.
So we already covered that information in recent information, but
it's short.
all telepathic connections is established through a heart-to-heart sympathetic link. The information is translated from prefrontal lobe, where you have something called mirror cells, under the pretenses of I am you and you are me, meaning that the sympathetic link open and we both have a mutual affection for each other. We can communicate using the mirror cells in the prefrontal lobe. It becomes a projection of frequency like a radio broadcast, but it's only directed to the one person that you directed it to. I don't know what you mean by erasement prescriptions, Elder.
Yeah, and because you be more fair use. It says, how can we overcome erasement prescription?
I don't know what you're talking. I never heard that term.
Yeah, it's my first time. I don't know. I don't think she's talking about medicine prescription. Is she?
It sounds like to me she's talking about somebody got a hit on them and she's trying to escape it.
Yeah, like it sounds like some alchemy down there. Like, yeah. It sound like somebody witchcraft, putting a spell on it.
I can't answer that question because it's not clear enough. The understanding of what she's talking about not clear enough.
Maybe she'll drop it again.
The Fed has already been closed, which I don't know. It's already been in the newspapers, but it wasn't on the broadcast news. The U.S. Treasury is in charge of the finances now. And the headquarters is moved to an Indian reservation outside Reno, Nevada. Most of us don't know that. Why would they put it on the reservation? Let that sink in.
Hey, shout out Brother Love. That's one of my teachers, Brother Love, right there. Brother Love, man. That one of my ancestors.
Yeah, Brother Love, that
guy. Here you go right here. Explain. What do you say? Explain technomic magic.
Techno magic. That's using technology to do conjure work or magician work. It's like using your tools, your implements, your magic wand, your crystal ball. That's still technology, but it's from a bygone era. Now you can use programs like you can use 3D animation to animate something called I forgot the name of it, but they symbols in tantric yoga, and you can animate them to accelerate the usage of in your mind's eye. You get to see what it looked like when you project it 3-dimensionally versus what it looked like when it's a 1-dimensional form. Masculine women is the only way that a single woman, can raise a strong male child, because her masculine traits is going to shine and show him masculinity, but she's going to be sacrificing her femininity to do so. Right? And that's going to decrease the power of her mother effect. If the woman stay feminine and she point out role models for the masculine child, he can learn from the role models by the direction of the mother, where she don't have to be so masculine to raise the masculine gender, which gives her more effect on the child in her feminine energy. Right? So they are warrior women. when the warrior men start to decrease, the warrior women start to increase. This is the reason why they was on a campaign to convert everybody to alternative lifestyles to undermine the balance.
Facts. Facts, Rod. Well, Rod, you dope, Rod. You dope. Your analogies and your philosophies on things is dope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like the way you break it down and you keep it. You don't gotta go all the way out like you went to Harvard. You know what I'm saying? Go all the way out like he went at Harvard. I gotta go get me a whole. Some of the stuff you say, you know, you might have to go get a dictionary out, or you gotta been around for a while to know, like, to hear what you're saying, because you talking codes a lot, right? You gotta been around. I know something just to hear it, and then because I go back to stuff and I listen to it and I say, damn, Ron said that, and then I go look it up and put it together, and I start piecing more together. Man, I just about got to put it piece all together now, man. You can't come to me with it and tell me we came on no slave shit. That ain't gonna. You ain't like. To me, Rod, they didn't put that together until 1865. Based on what? That's the only time I can see where they put it together. Right during the Civil War. I don't see no other time frame where they sold that to us. Because look, even in that movie Patriots. Them people, when King George and them people came to see, it was like 1773, 74, 75. When King James and them people came there, they said, King George the third. King George and them people said, hey, y'all, they was talking to the people that they said they were supposed to be slaves. They said, hey, y'all can come work for King George and be free. You don't gotta be slaves no more. They looked at that dude, told him, man, we ain't slaves. We just work here. And they was letting us know then. That some kind of game was being ran on that slave narrative. They were just working at a Walmart. Like this dude, it's like this dude owns some land. You go work for him and he pay you every day. They were getting paid every day just for going to work on that dude's land. They weren't no slaves. They go back
a
to
lot
their own
of
house.
a lot of them had a vested interest in the crop because that's how they fed their family. Right? Or if there was a cattle ranch, they had a vested interest in the cattle because that's how they fed their family. All right. Any kind of farming, you gotta remember, we didn't have grocery stores.
That's right.
We had what they call a trading post.
Farmer market, yeah.
The trading post was there. It was a junction between tribes to meet up with different things that they bring in order to get what they need and take back. We didn't care about money. Right? When we needed to do massive exchange, we exchanged gold and silver and coal, because we used to use a lot of coal, especially in the time that the colonists came. We be forgetting about coal was the big export before oil was discovered. Right? They were doing coal mines that led to the discovery of some of the oil wells. Right? So the coal mine, this is how Big Mama colors, Vice Lord colors get to be black and gold. Right? They're black and gold because they represent the gold and the coal, which represents the blood and the right. The gold and the blood gives you the earth right. Right? So now you got your black stone as a piece of coal with a golden heart.
Hey, drop your questions in the chat. Somebody just this damn thing like it froze or something. All right.
The trading post was the post office. This is where your King Lemuel Production said trading post with the post office too. The post office, the trading post was the post office. And this is where your Pony Express comes from, because it used to be an indigenous person, riding horses across the land to deliver the message from one trading post to another.
So it was like this, Rod. Say like if I grew watermelon, right? So I would load me a wagon of watermelon. When I go to the trading post, say I would trade that watermelon in, some of it for corn, or some of it for sugar, some of it
Well,
for
everybody didn't always find the same things.
Okay, all right.
Right. So you might only do spices. So you might have a whole farm where your whole family do different spices like cilantro and stuff like that all over your land. But then you might need to eat with corn or something like that. So you would go to the trading post, you would take the amount of herbs you got and trade it for the corn or the meat because they used to dry the meat out.
Yeah, smoke meat.
They used to dry the meat out and pack it in salt to preserve it. So you had different means at the trading posts. You used to trade the tribes who sold the moccasins would sow so many moccasins to put in the trading posts to get whatever they needed. Because some of those southwestern tribes was on barren land, they couldn't grow crops, but they can work leather. Because the desert climate is perfect for drying out leather.
That's right.
Right? So they could trade in that and use that as the foundational trading stock to get the vegetables they need that they can't grow in the desert. Our culture is rich with understanding trade. We didn't understand exploitation and greed. That's what we didn't understand. And that's what we had to go and experience on a mass level, that we understand that we know we don't want that. You take your greed and your exploitation back across the water. We don't want it over here. We've just been here long enough and it don't work for us. Because if it worked for us, all of the tribes would be at the bottom of the national barrel, so to speak, the melding pot. We wouldn't be at the bottom always. That's by design. That's not no accident. Right. They've been showing us in the history books with the flooding of the cities and the mudding of the cities and the molasses across the city, the fires across the city. They've been showing us we've been at war. We just didn't know that they declared war on us until they printed it. Right. And now we can show it to you that the people of the land is at war with the government.
Right.
I didn't write it. I'm just showing you where it was at. So Jermaine Oliver said, I've been quantum leaping more than usual and without effort. What's going on? I feel like I've been changing the script of reality, because that's exactly what's going on. And what you feel is what you know. That's the simplest, most direct answer I can give you. You experience and you know exactly what you experience, and you don't need nobody else to tell you. You experiencing what you experience. You just got to interpret it as to how you're going to perceive it to affect you.
Yeah, the quantum leap. The quantum leap is that now he figuring out a lot of stuff. He connecting a lot of dots now.
And the quantum leaping is the closing down of timelines that doesn't keep him in alignment with the upcoming age that's being told to him genetically through Schumann resonance and solar flares.
Fire.
That's why, remember, I told him, watch the solar flares, watch the Schumann resonance, and then watch how you feel. Download the biorhythm app so that you can monitor when you go through certain stuff. You can see it coming before it get here based on what you experience when your biorhythm is in a certain frequency. Paperwork ain't got nothing to do with your status. It only got something to do with your political position inside the corporation. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here.
This is
It's process of Earth ejected or pulling from the
Is the
atmosphere.
process of Earth being ejected or pulled from the atmosphere, be it the gravitational pull, could what we will experience be the literally process of the seven thunders. The seven thunders is a reference to biblical revelation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And remember, when you go back in the book tell you what the answer to what a thunder is, right? It's the loud voice. The seven thunders is the seven kings of Israel in the Old Testament, right? It's also they also given to you with the Moby Dick story because the last king was Ahab, who got cut off at the knee by a little white lie that became a whale of a lie about a boat and a white whale, which is the white man's burden. So all of those are coded signs to read the times, right? Now remember, if it's seven speakers, where do they come from? You have to look to Revelations to find where the seven is relevant to where you would be getting seven voices from, right? So in Revelations, you got something called seven heads and 10 horns. The seven heads represent the leader of seven nations, and the 10 horns represent the secondary nations that support the seven. Right? But it's really coded as a number 17. 10 and 7 is 17 is a Q flip on a Q code off a Q card, right? To cue the director to make the cut, right? Which brings the movie to an end. So you was all playing in the movie. The world is a stage and we all just actors, says Shakespeare. We all playing a part in something called the holy drama. The holy drama is the tale of the resurrection of the Osiris, the Osirian resurrection. That was resurrected by the mama in the sun to allow him to ascend the throne and replace the father in the hereditary passing of the right. So once we understand that the movie has an ending to it, we can let the credits roll now. When the credits roll, it's going to tell you who was playing the bad guy, who was playing George Bush, who was playing his son, who was playing Barack Obama, who was playing Hillary Clinton. All these secrets are codes, right? They got CIA code names for a reason, right? So you got Bill Clinton as the snowman. Think Falcon and the Snowman, espionage, but also think narcotics trade, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Right? How we got the name the Snowman. The CIA code name Snowman was married to Evergreen. That's your Christmas story. Mother Claus, Father Claus. Evergreen is the CIA code name for Hillary Clinton. Right? Which she was using Evergreen freights to traffic in children. She's playing the bad witch. Right? As you go through it, you see it all play out in front of you as a big fairy tale, and then you wonder why Shakespeare said the world is a stage and we are just actors. So somebody got to come at the grand finale and tell everybody what they experienced so that they can break out a character. Because once you do method acting, you get stuck in character and it's hard to find yourself again. So we need therapy.
That's right.
But we don't need individual therapy. Ain't nothing wrong with us except for the fact that we don't remember that we ain't these names we walking around proclaiming to be. We something higher than that, pretending to be these names.
All right.
Right? And then you start to open up the third eye. The third eye make me shine like jewelry. You just a renter rapper. Your rhymes are mini made. I'll be here when you fade and watch you flip like a renegade. I can't wait to break on the lemonade. On every trail's a snake, so stay awake. And follow because the temple's a trail. The stage is a cage, the mic is a third rail. Shout out to Rakim, the God MC.
Right. Somebody said, can you clarify what happens to the original people that were here before the Anunnakis arrived and made man in their image?
We amalgamated. That's what happened. We amalgamated. The original people still here. They just mixed in all the other races so we could form one big human family at the close of the age.
Mm-hmm. The Project Blue Rock.
Yeah. Everybody had to tie into the vein. The first family, the first blood, blood. Plug back into that which you came. Just because they derive from us don't mean we can't reabsorb them back into us.
No.
Remember, when Yakub grafted the devil, he gave us a remedy.
Right. He did. They talk about the forms. I know Bill Gates buying up a whole bunch of shit, but he can't. How they buying up our land? They can't buy our land.
Listen, a lot of those farmers, just because they look like us, don't mean they us. When they tracing their ancestry and find that they came from overseas, they gonna use everything at their disposal to try to displace them from the farm because they got to give it all back to the tribes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if they don't got no tribal mother with blood to the land, they out of there. Because only the tribal mothers own the land. And the tribes, the land own the tribes. We caretakers of the land. The land don't need us, we need the land.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Says, do you need to submit paperwork to change our status? No.
Not no more. Paperwork they don't honor paperwork any goddamn way. You know what I'm saying? They don't honor no paperwork. You go in there with it, they gonna
You know, I answered that about 40 minutes ago.
We got a whole tape on it though called about paperwork. A whole tape called The Paperwork Conjure.
It's a paper chain. It's a paper trap.
Yeah.
It's to lock you back into the paper genocide in order to disassociate you from the land.
To claim your birthrights, you need oral tradition. That's all you need. Then know your pedigree and oral tradition. We don't gotta do no paperwork with them no more, because they frauded us out of all that information. They frauded us out on it. It's
now we might use their records to form family tree charts, right? Because their records also tell them who they changed us into and who we were before they changed us. But that's kept in the, under lock and key by order of what's called the 72 secret treaties. The secret treaties is all of those secrets, Masonic secrets, that's used to keep us from knowing who we are. From the miseducation aspect, all of the stuff that they was agreed to as parameters to fight the amnesia war, to educate ourselves above the condition for 200 years, to break free of the corporate contract of the interim government.
Somebody says, what's the spiritual explanation for exploring head syndrome?
I don't actually know what that is.
Yeah. It is.
But in the spiritual sense, it's a book called Breaking Open the Head, where the guy is going to all of the shamans, learning about the mushroom and the evil gain and the peyote and different hallucinogens used by shamans to open up the mind. And a lot of people say once your mind been open that your head exploded, but they don't mean it literally. They mean it figuratively, meaning that your mind has been open to the truth of the world. But I don't know if that's what he talking about or she, Cruise Psyche. I don't know if that's what they talking about.
Gangstalkers. Just Nigerians or they part of the gang.
Gang stalking is more tied to your birthright than you could possibly imagine. They normally try to use gang stalking as a fear tactic to keep you distracted from ever going inward to discover the self because you're paranoid about the gang stalking activities that they're going around you. So they got you so predisposed focusing on them that you can't do the self work required to wake you up as to who you are. Right? The Manchurian candidates is not just part of gang stalking, they're also part of assassination ops across the land. They're the ones who look like us but aren't, specifically the ones who grew up in our community, know what they are doing. I don't know if they actually know what they are doing, but I know they don't care about us to the degree that they become reckless when they had an opportunity to hold our life in their hand. They more likely to send us on crash out missions than one of us would send the other. Right? And that's normally what happened. They get into a position of power in the community and they like to send the young boys out on crash out missions to keep the tribes divided and to keep us from ever forming unity with each other to reclaim the land. So they there as a plant. When you hear them talking about Hollywood industry plant, they never talk about the neighborhood industry plant that they put in the neighborhood, and they financially support them by whatever means they can to get control of the minds of the youth with money, with flashy cars, with a whole bunch of fine females, you know, the poisonous ones at that. So they give them this as part of their cover story to make them look like they're a go-getter. Because we all know that any one of the chiefs, you can drop them anywhere on the land and they know how to make a living, even if there's no real way to make a living, they can get it from the dirt. So when you see somebody performing them activities, your subconscious mind telling you, here is the chief. Let me go see if he can teach me what I need to know to become a chief. And they use that flash as a way to get your attention. But the real chief don't use flash. He use character. Man, this is a long drawn out process and it comes in phases. First thing is shut down all education from the governmental sources. All local communities reclaim the educational programs of your children. That's one of the first things we got to do. Next, the teenage boys need to learn manhood standards because they don't know how to be a man if men don't teach them. And the quality of men that teach the boys how to be men determine the quality of men that the boys going to be when they grow. So we need manhood training for teenagers. Then we have the ones in their 20s, college age, need to be in leadership. Leadership training teaches them how to take orders and give orders, and the reason you need to know both sides of the dynamic. If you can't competently execute an order, you can't competently give another order to somebody else, expecting them to understand your order and to execute. So the better you are at being able to follow the instructions, the clearer you make the instructions when you teach somebody else or when you are giving orders to somebody else. This is why we need to reach out to the OGs across the land that has the attention of the YGs. Because they're going to be the ones that begin to educate them on how we was deceived to fight each other, Once they understand what was being used to turn us against each other, we can then use that as a survival mechanism to not let it happen again. The first thing we need to be worried about is what is we doing to support and protect our family. And then whatever your natural attention is drawn to is what you need to focus on. You're going to automatically know what to do when you trust in yourself without needing nobody to tell you. Just remember, we have a lot of wisdom teachings so that we know the one that's most competent at the time for the task required is the leader at that time. But the leadership will change according to the needs of the community. And we got to be all right with that.
Yeah, bro, you heard about that guy, that 3-year-old baby that blew that guy head off, man. Yeah, said the guy was sleeping on the couch, I guess, and it was a youngster, YN guy, and I guess he had one of them 40s with the long clip on it, and the baby got up, go use the bathroom. I guess the guy rolled over, let his gun fall on the floor. The baby went in there and looked at it, picked it up, put it to the back of his head while he was asleep, twisted his cap back. So you think that baby was wrong? He was wrong. What you think about that, bro? That 3-year-old twisted
First and foremost, your firearm should not be accessible to children.
Right.
That's irresponsible gun ownership. Mm-hmm. I advocate people being armed. I'm with that. Mm-hmm. But I don't advocate you being careless with your firearm.
Yeah.
Right. This is I don't advocate innocent bystanders getting shot. Right. If you know who the target is, get the target. Yeah. If you can't get the target, don't be shooting.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But in that situation, the baby shouldn't have access to the firearm. Now, the irony to that is the baby could have been possessed by an ancestor and was making a reckoning on something.
That's exactly what I said to my girl, Roy. That's exactly what I said. That baby was handling some business. That's what I said. That baby was handling some business. That dude had to go. He been bullying somebody. He did something. Well, that's the karma. That's the karmic debt for that.
See, you can teach children. You can teach children at an early age to be responsible with a firearm, but you first have to be responsible. Mm-hmm. You get that firearm get just as much respect as you get a police, because that firearm can save your life or take your life, no matter which end of the barrel you on. It can save your life or take your life. Right? So anything that have that much power need to be given the same amount of respect. That go back to how we deal with going to foreign neighborhoods and being able to go into the worst part of the community and the people not give us problems because you know how to respect the territory. Mm-hmm. You don't really stick out. Too respectful. Mm-hmm. It's the same with the firearm. You ain't got no respect for that firearm, it's gonna clap you one way or another. Mm-hmm. Whether it clap you into the grave or clap you into the penitentiary, it's gonna clap you.
Texas got hit pretty good with a flood not too recent. Somebody was just asking what that was tied in with the 1987. I think that's what they said. They rolling the comment, then they freezing it. I can't see. 97. I just seen it and it's rolled on. Okay, it says we got about 7 minutes. It's this will be the last one. Are you talking about the incident that happened in Atlanta? It might have been Atlanta. Murder. It might have been Atlanta where the 3-year-old. I think the 3-year-old had got up in the middle of the night, and the brother probably was high, some sleep, and then you know how you probably had your gun on you, and then you rolling out, turning on the couch. It slipped on the floor. The baby get up, coming in there, looking around. He said, "Oh, I see the gun." he picks it up, puts it right to the back of his head, man, and twisted his cap back. That ain't no coincidence. That ain't no coincidence. Why would that baby, you know what I'm saying? Something took off the ancestors. That dude there was doing something he had no business, man. I'm telling you, man. We in this day and time.
Well, for the baby to get his hands on the gun, he was already doing something he had no business. He was being disrespectful of the placement of the firearm.
Right. And
But I'm gonna tell you this: look, in our family trees, everybody got some brown nose and cutthroat, sellout, crossout MFs in it. And sometime if Grandpa come back through one of these suckers and he recognize who he is, he gonna figure out a way to get him because he told him 3 lifetimes ago, if it take me to the end of the earth, I'm gonna get you.
Damn.
Grandpa could have came back and baby.
Yeah.
And said, I told this son bitch I was gonna get him in one of these lifetimes, and this is the one.
Yeah.
And because I'm 3 years old right now, they don't know I'm fully loaded with this gangsterism.
Yeah.
I've been cutthroat for 22 lifetimes in a row. You think I ain't gonna be cutthroat today? I know how to get around and skirt the law. 3 years old, you can't do nothing to me.
Yeah. He ain't
You gonna do lock me up in preschool detention?
Yeah, they ain't gonna do nothing to that dude, man.
Daycare prison. What you gonna do? There's no remedy for that.
They calling it not reckless. It's called it's the thing where you with a child where you ain't neglecting. That's what it's called. They call it neglecting, and so the child ain't gonna really do no time. And it come to find out the dude, the brother who got shot in the back of the head, he was over there visiting his friend's house, and so his friend brother or somebody shot him in the back of the head. He wasn't even supposed to be at their house. It wasn't even his house.
That's 2 strikes right there. Careless with the gun in somebody else's house.
Somebody else's house. Now, what if that kid would have went and shot somebody else that was in the house? So they started shooting him, and then it's
it is still tragic though. In the end of the day,
yeah, it is. It is. It's real. It's bad. It's real bad that a 3-year-old.
But we don't know what was driving that baby though.
My girl said that one of the grown-ups could have killed him and then put it on the baby. I said that might make that sound close too though. Like they say, oh yeah, well the baby killed him. The grown-up get up, smoke the guy, and then say, oh yeah, the baby did it. He 3 years old. What he gonna say? You know what I'm saying? Hey, I ain't shoot him. You know what I'm saying? Hey.
It's totally possible. I remember when I was in the county jail in Oakland County Jail. I got extradited back to Michigan. I was watching the news, and this dude was beating his girlfriend up, and her 6-year-old son picked the gun up off the end table. This happened in Detroit back in the 90s. And shot the dude and put him to rest about his mama.
Yeah.
All I can tell you, buddy, lucky it wasn't me.
Hey, man,
and then they was trying to determine to charge the boy or not, right? And they was like, we can't charge him. Juvenile don't even start till you like 10 or 12. Yeah. In Michigan at the time, Nathan Abraham hadn't been railroaded yet. So, I mean, shorty, it's also self-defense when you defending your loved ones. So the police was in a very, very precarious position at that point.
Yeah, that happened again when a 14-year-old, his stepdad, they was in like a restaurant. He hauled off and baseball cocked that lady, man. I mean, he knocked her, he hit her hard, and he didn't have to hit her like that. But as soon as he hit her, her son came out. Huh? You saw that one?
Was she the police?
She said, what now?
Was he the police?
Nah, he wasn't the police. He was just her old man. And he hit that dude mama. Man, he said, you hit my mama? again, I'm gonna kill you. Man, he cocked back and that dude unloaded on him. Bow, bow, bow. And I'm 14 years old. My brother unloaded on him, man.
Now,
He go
the
to jail.
the dude had ample warning not to hit his mama again.
Yeah.
This defense of others is part of self-defense. It's in the self-defense description.
Yeah, right in the restroom.
Even the police right to use the firearm is only supposed to be in self-defense and defense of others.
Uh-huh.
But they use it for homicide as well, because they got people they got to get off the land according to COINTELPRO, Rex 87, or whatever other document the government want to have in top secret status at the moment.
I'll do one on
Look,
Abraham.
that little girl Aaliyah, when that police was had that was whooping her mama, and she got out the SUV and shot her and killed her. That was up here by me at Walmart.
What?
Yeah, she popped her. But here's the reason they couldn't charge the little girl, because I think she was 6. She could have been 8. I think she was 6. But she shot that police lady, and based on firearms training, the little girl followed the textbook MO of firearm training. Because first she told the lady to get off her mama. The thing that she probably didn't have the wherewithal to understand is that the lady was the police. We don't give a damn about that.
Yeah, right.
Get off my mama.
Yeah,
that happened. I think it was last year that happened in Walmart.
Wow.
Not too far from me.
Wow.
They gonna learn. They keep messing with people. They keep shooting babies. Because you gotta remember, they don't just shoot grown folks.
Nah.
What's the one boy in the park was 13 playing with a water gun?
Yeah.
That was obviously not dangerous because it was like bright green or something.
Yeah.
He knew that was a water gun.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, hey, some of us about that life.
Yeah, the 6 years old, young guns. You got some young guns out here now, man.
But that go back to what I was telling you earlier about teaching your child a respect for the firearm. The little girl was obviously trained in shooting at an early age, so she had a healthy respect for the firearm.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
She only shot her once. One shot, one kill, called her for sniper.
Man, one shot, one kill for a 6-year-old.
And all I could tell her when I was 6 and you was been doing that to my mama, you lucky I wasn't behind the trigger because I'm emptying the gun.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm gonna go and get you.
At 6 years old, I was aware enough of if you F with my mama, I will do whatever it takes to give you the business that you got coming. So I would have emptied. I wouldn't have just shot once. I'd have been kept on shooting. I'd have walked up to and shoot.
She got lucky.
Yeah, when I was 6 years old, I was a baby terror. My brothers and my sisters and my mama, I don't care how big you is, I'm coming.
Yeah.
my brothers and sisters will tell you, if it ain't real, don't call him. Yeah. Don't call him, because when I'm called in for protection detail, I don't got no turn down for what switch. What that switch? I don't need that switch. I'm coming in on 10 because they done exhausted 1 through 9 already. Yeah. Before they even call me, because they know I'm coming in on 10. Yeah. So look, before we call him, man, let's make sure we can't do nothing else about this situation.
Yeah.
Because they know I'm an extreme extremist. I like starting at the extreme and then taking extreme to the next extreme. That's why they don't be calling me for stuff. They be like, I would have came and got you, but I don't know how you gonna act. Act like I'm supposed to act. Now I'm more strategic in my thinking, so I'm not as hot-headed as I was in my teen years and my early 20s.
Right into it.
Yeah, but back then, on sight, what you do to my brother? What you say to my sister?
I just know shit, man. I didn't got us too. Like they say, hey, we pull up. They say, hey, which one is it? Point them out. Is that him right there? Now go knock. And then we go right up here and knock him out. Let's him point him out. Tell my little sister, which one of them is it? Man, I'm missing my little sister, bro. Oh, my mama. I'm telling you. Like I remember one time somebody.
But me and my brother be fighting all over the house.
I'm telling you.
We go outside. You better not mess with one of us.
I'm telling you.
That's my brother.
Yep.
What you think I'm supposed to do? Stand there and watch you beat my brother up? Is you crazy?
Yeah.
We gonna figure this out one way or another. I'm from the FAFO Generation X. I mean, that's how we grew up. They push it to you, you push it back to them, but only you make them wish they would have never pushed it to you in the first place. Yeah. That's the only rule. If they started, finish it.
Yeah.
Just don't start none. And that's why I say you don't start none, won't be none. I'm easy to get along with until it's not easy to get along with me no more. Then I'm the hardest person in the world to get along with. Yeah. I'm your best friend until you make me your enemy. Then I'm your worst enemy that you wish you would have kept as a friend.
Yeah. Hey, you know, people didn't like fighting me back in the day because my big mama trained us on how to fight, right? And she used to say, ain't no such thing as a fair fight. If somebody try to hurt you, it's in your right to do whatever you got to do to hurt them. Hey, so picking up a brick, ain't no way. Hey, we fighting, man. A brick, whatever.
Look, whatever it takes. I just got good enough with my hands where I ain't need to pick one up. Hey, man, but believe me, my mama told me if they too big for you to fight them with your fist, you pick up something and bust them inside the head. I ain't got no problem with that. I am not to go alone to get along. Martin Luther King, we shall overcome generation. I'm from a whole nother cloth, from a whole nother time, and a whole nother generation. Yeah. We did not come to play. We did not come to joke around, soft shoe. We came to tear this mug up if we don't get it right.
Right.
And it just so happened that I put myself in the position to put me in the lead to tell y'all we ain't from Africa. We was already here and we back for everything they owe. And it just so happened they owe us everything because they came over here masquerading as us, but they ain't us. But they want us to think that somebody else is behind the plot until I unfold the plan. Now you can see the casserole for exactly what it is. And I told you who cooked it up when they was cooking it, but you didn't believe me till they pulled it out the oven, pulled the foil off. Now you know.
Yeah, Doc. Yeah, Rod, you got them, Rod. I'm surprised they ain't really just. I know they mad, but I'm surprised they ain't trying to jack around with you because you got them. You got them so good they ain't gonna. I don't think they want to jack around with you. You got them so good, like you got them so good. It's like dang. You know, like the gig is up type of thing.
Yeah, rip the curtain down. This is the sucker behind the curtain.
Yeah, you ripped them. You got them on that black hand.
It just so happened it's a family, a couple of families of them that's all related. They all cousins. Children of Enlil came to usurp the children of Enki and the children of Tahuti and the children of Ainana. And we decided to click up and send it to tail pack and go back home and go grovel at your daddy's feet and beg him to give you another universe because you will not be in this one.
Right. Enlil had his own thing, man. I remember like Enlil, Enlil, man, like Tahuti was dope, man. That's my favorite guy, Tahuti. Like I remember, like I'm gonna tell you, man, like when Tahuti be doing like Murdoch, he be mean sometimes. Like when he working on something, he might not want you balling him. But Tahuti, I'm gonna tell you how Tahuti is. If Tahuti working on something, I see him on the chalkboard putting a math problem together. He put it together, and then you come on with an try to ask him a question. He tell you, get in, come on, he put you into it. Go on, just get over there. Start working that part. Tahuti, I'm telling you, man, look, I'm gonna write a whole book on Tahuti and about my experiences with Tahuti and about all the different stuff that I experienced. But I do remember that. I remember that one time where I came while he was working on something. He don't like you really balling him, but so what he'll do is he'll add you to the equation and like add you into it, whatever he doing. Like he'll put you to work. Tahuti will put you to work.
That's because all things come together for the common good. So if you come in the middle of the mathematical discussion, you become a part of the equation. Therefore, you got to be incorporated in order to draw out the proper conclusion at the end of the math problem.
That's exactly what Toby would say. That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what he said. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Once you start adding your part, because when you come up to ask them that question, you add to the equation automatically without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Tahuti will add you in. He'll go and say, instead of like Murdoch and say, man, stand back, watch back. Let me get this. Hold on, watch back. I got these suckers. Hold on, man.
That's
Murdoch
Bopper. That's
Murdoch
Bopper.
slide, man. Look, Murdoch is a slider. He got many a hats. He knocking off whole planets, whole solar systems, nigga, whole galaxy. Murdoch knock off your whole galaxy. I'm telling you, man.
That's because he come from the warrior line, but he took up the sciences, the spirit science. So he take the spiritual war as if, let me roll my sleeves up and dig into this big piece of meat right here and see what I can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
With my Phillips Latte Go, it's always a good time for a coffee.
Come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Tahuti come from the scientist line.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to analyze everything, and he understanding that all things is part of the equation. So when you come in to interrupt, that must be an interjection into the equation that must be calculated if you want to come out with the correct answer at the end of the calculation.
That's how I know you was there, Rod, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what you saying is exactly what Tahuti said. Hey, look, listen to this. I remember one time we got to get ready to go. Hey, y'all, if y'all want to show Brother Rod Hayes some love, I got his cash app right here on the everybody send him. We got 1,200 people right now. Everybody send him $1, man, and I put them in the game. If you want, send him $5, send $100 if you want to put them in the game. Yeah, but I will leave on this. I remember one time, it's like right before the pole shift happened, and we was all having a meeting, and then it was all of us standing, and Tahuti was standing right there, and then my mama walked by, and Tahuti said, and it's the first time we ever heard this. Tahuti used to always do. He always say stuff that you never heard. Right? It's the first time we ever heard this. Right? And everybody laughed when he said it. Right? Because he was always funny, cracking jokes. Tahuti was like that. He said, "It must be jelly. Damn, don't shake like that.
Watch out!
It must be jelly. It must be jelly. Cause jam don't shake like that." And all of us, Murdoch, all of us, we bust out laughing. And he was talking about Inanna, because she was like short, fine. Boy, I'm talking about thick, fine. Like one of them.
Well, Inanna is a title that different females held over the millennium.
I know you talking about like
that's a title too.
Yeah, I know.
That's a title too.
My mother, not Mother Ninty, not Iki's sister. I'm talking about Osiris' wife.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That's who he said about when she walked by. He said, "It must be jelly, cause jam don't." That's the first time I ever heard that. I done heard recently in this life, but that's back then in that life. That's the first time we had ever heard that. I can tell you a whole bunch of stuff. The first time we ever heard it was what Tahuti said it. He like the jokes, like a lot of the jokes that's coming out. They derivatives of stuff that Tahuti said already. Like most of the jokes that people make now, like the good ones, it's Tahuti jokes. Just revived or respin.
I'm down to 4%. Take us on home, man. All
right, Rod, want to get up out of here, Rod. We're gonna be back, man. I got that book coming out on Tahuti, y'all. My experiences with Tahuti. Hey, y'all. Peace and love, y'all. We want to thank Brother Chief Rod Hayes for coming out. Like I say, y'all hit that like, hit that subscribe button. One love, one peace, divine love throughout the balanced universe. Free Dr. Malachi Z. York. Larry Hoover, we're still working on him to get out right now. We going through that process. Free Jeff Ford, free H. Rap Brown, free all of our political prisoners right now, right? We're asking for the ancestors.
And bring Asada home. She need a pardon from the government.
Us, right?
Bring Asada home. Right.
Go ahead.
She need a pardon from the government. New Jersey, stand up. She needs pardon from the governor of New Jersey. New Jersey stand up. That she need to be able to come home without the harassment of this legal fiction.
That's right.
Black girl magic.
That's right. We won, man. We won. Spin now backwards. It's we won already. Spin now backwards is won. So peace, love, and harmony. Hotel, shalom, Islam. All that in a bag of chips. We out. Peace.
What I do?